Hey, what's up? My name's Amanda, and I'm the Fun Size Reader. All right, you guys, here it is. We've been waiting for it. We want to talk about all of the spoilers today. And don't know if you've noticed, but the biggest spoiler that I've got on right now is my Team Hudson shirt. Not afraid to say it. I will claim this from the very beginning. I am Team Hudson, okay? No one's going to convince me otherwise unless Tracy pulls all the stops out against us in the next 2 books. Yes, that's right. I said 2 books. She announced recently that there will not be only a 3rd, which they retitled Covet, but there's going to be a 4th because she started writing and got to a point where she was like, I have more that I need to say. But that's discussion for another time. Today, we are talking about Crush and everything that happened during Crush. I want to start by saying, when I first started reading this book, I texted one of my friends and I said, I don't know how I'm supposed to say this without like giving away another series. I don't want to do that. But let's just say that I predicted this was going to happen. I don't want to say the statement, even though there's a lot of people who know as soon as I say what I wanted to say, would know what I meant exactly. If you really want to know, send me a DM or comment or something. Let's just say I predicted this. I knew that we were going to love Hudson. And I knew a lot of people were not going to love Hudson. And I feel like this is not the same as the whole Edward Jacob situation. It's not the same for me. There's definitely going to be teams, and I'm throwing down the team that I am on right now. Okay, so we started off in this book with Grace literally popping up out of nowhere like being a statue never even existed. And for me, that was really like an odd opening. I don't think I was really satisfied with it because I wanted to know what the hell was going on in the 4 months that she was a gargoyle. I know if you read the bonus chapters at the end, like we get kind of a little bit of an idea, but that wasn't enough for me. I wanted to start the book inside her head in the freaking statue and go through it that way. The storyline of her just kind of waking up places and not having any memory of what happened, like that annoyed me. I did not like it. I went into the first like 150 pages of this book thinking that I was gonna be annoyed because I didn't want that to just be happening. Now that I finished it, I see why that played out as it did, but I didn't like it at first. It started a little bit slow, but as I kept going, I had more and more desire to keep reading. And here are some things that I want to just talk about. The laundry scene. Okay, the laundry scene was so freaking cute. If you get to the end and you're Team Hudson and you don't look back on that laundry scene and go, oh my God, swoon, he just wanted to dance with her. Like, oh my God, I loved it so much. And the snide little snarky remarks about his favorite underwear, like, really funny. It doesn't matter what team you're on. That was funny. Because of all of these little things that he had to say, and every time Grace would try to be with Jackson, he would interfere or wouldn't like it or would make a snarky comment. I knew that the mating thing was going to happen. I really hope that you understood that this was a spoiler video before I just said that, because yes, I believe that Hudson is Grace's mate. And I will stand by that mating. And here's why. When we got to see all of the little strings that Grace started learning how to use her magic, which was badass, by the way, we got to the mating bond with Jackson and Grace. And I didn't really pick up on it at the time, but when I was talking through it with some of my friends, they reminded me that it was like this green and silver or white, like striped thread, but it was like had black in it and it was like blackening. And to me, I looked back at that and said that mating bond was dying. They were dying. They were not a true like forever mate. Like there was something going on that was killing that. And one of my friends said, well, it was just Hudson feeding off of Jackson's energy. That's why it was going bad. And I was like, I don't really think that, because I think that Grace wasn't really feeling so much. I think she kept being drawn to him because of this word mate, because you are my mate. I'm going to stand by you. But there were so many times throughout the book where Grace would get really frustrated and upset at Jackson for trying to protect her and trying to be the man and not letting her stand on her own and thinking she was a weak human. And you could tell, like, that was not sitting well with Grace. And one of my friends at Check Out These Books, her name's Kendall. Mandy is not reading the book yet, but she's going to, but Kendall read it. Kendall and I were talking, and I was live chatting Kendall the entire time I was finishing this up because she had finished it already, and I just needed to get thoughts out. And I might put some of those at the end of the video. You could see our little chats, and ignore my curse words because I'm an adult, whatever. I was talking to Kendall, and she was saying that she is Team Grace in all of this. Like, Grace is a BAMF. She, like, needs to come into her own. She needs to come into her power. She needs to be what we wanted Bella to be in Twilight, right? We all wanted Bella to be this, like, badass. And I feel like we get that in Grace. And Jackson does not see that. He wants to be the protector. But Hudson obviously is like, you can do this. I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader. You go be you. You're a gargoyle. You're a badass. Like, nobody's seen the likes of you. Oh, and by the way, here's my powers. Go win this on your own, right? Because, yeah, they were his powers, but she couldn't have done all of what she did with, like, if she wasn't a badass in and of herself. I also knew once that scene ended and we, poofed his father's bones to nothing, I knew when Hudson said she didn't cheat, I was like, whoop, there it is. She didn't cheat because he was her mate, and there was nothing against mates competing together. Loved the bomb that Flint dropped on us. Like, okay, if anybody is still Team Jackson being with Grace and isn't Team Jackson being with Flint, like, come talk to me. I want to know why. Because, like, I want my boy Flint to be happy. I was not super into him in the first book when people were, like, shipping him and Grace. And I was like, no, it just doesn't feel right. I don't really like that. And now we know why. Because Flint wants to be mated with Jackson, or is mated, feels that he's mated with Jackson. We just need Jackson to realize it. I'm all about that. And that's kind of when I started creating these weird theories in my head, was that scene with Flint where he started explaining the mating bonds, and I was like, okay, something's gonna happen here. My theory was that she was gonna be mated to both Hudson and Jackson at the same time, and I really didn't want that, like, weird threesome vibe going on. Like, I was not into that. So I'm really glad that that's not what happened. The other thing that I've been talking about with a lot of people was where I think this is going is Grace doesn't remember what happened in the 4 months. And we know from Hudson's bonus chapter that they, like, had this plan. They knew they were mates. They were falling in love with each other. And now he's devastated that she doesn't remember anything. So I think that we're going to get a lot of, like, romance and wooing in the next one, because he's going to have to remind her and convince her again that he's her mate. But Jackson is going to say, BS, you're not her mate. You're just using your power of persuasion on her, and try to convince Grace that Hudson is tricking her. But here's the thing. We know that magic doesn't work on Grace. He can't persuade Grace. But I don't think Jackson really sees that. So I think, like, that's gonna start happening. And then obviously we know there's a war coming, which I'm really interested to see. I also want to talk about the unkillable beast. Okay. He's a gargoyle. Like, Grace isn't the only one in existence. So why is this unkillable beast chained in this island in the Arctic? Like, what's he guarding? Why is he there? Is he guarding anything? Is he being used for something? Why would the Vampire King kill all of the gargoyles but leave that one there? And why can Grace hear his thoughts? The other thing I thought about, and I was talking to Kendall about this as well, was the unkillable beast really related to Grace in some way? Like, is that a gargoyle thing where if you're related to the gargoyle, you can connect to them, you can speak to them? Because I found it really odd that the gargoyle was just willing to give Grace its heart. And Kendall was like, maybe it was her father, and that her actual father was really like not her dad, she was adopted, something along those lines. I was like, well, what if it was really her mother? Because like, I could totally see, and I can see fathers doing this too, don't get me wrong, but I could totally see her mother like wanting to give her heart, to give her daughter a chance to survive, to find her mate, to things like that. You know what I mean? So I don't know. We're just throwing theories out here. I do want to talk about Cole and say I freaking knew it, that Jackson throwing the mating bond away in the garbage can of the school was going to come back to bite us. I said that in the last video, my crave spoilers. We knew that was coming. We knew that someone was going to find it and someone was going to use it against him. But I didn't think I'd be okay with it. And I'm okay with it. I'm kind of glad it happened. Because when they were arguing, when Grace and Jackson were arguing about him trying to let her do things and let her stand on her own and not having to protect her, I literally wanted them to break up. I was like, break up with his ass. Drop his ass right now. I don't want you to be together anymore. Like, I'm digging the snarky comments from Hudson and him, you know, saying I'm going to bite you and you're not going to be able to, well, I'm going to ask you for my permission because, you know, that was a whole Jacob thing. But anyways, I wanted Grace to dump Jackson. I did. I'll say it. And when she didn't, I was let down. I was disappointed. And then boom, mating bond broken. So I was fine with that. But I do think Cole is going to come into play later. I think there's a whole lot that's going on behind the scenes that we had misinterpreted. I think there's going to be a whole he said, she said thing going on. And we're going to find out what really happened with Hudson because it's been hinted at. And I also want to know why he wasn't dead. Does anybody have any theories? Like, tell me in the comments if you have any theories. But I want to know why he wasn't dead because he came back pretty easy. And he said he wasn't really dead. And he says that Jackson doesn't know what he's talking about. So I am curious to find out what really happened and what he's really talking about. I also am curious when Hudson made the comment about the mating bonds can't be broken. If not, my mother would have broken the bond with my father a long time ago. I was like, is the mom on their side? Is there going to be some like circle action going on here where people are going to try to break their bonds and kill each other? I don't know. Anyways, I was so excited about this book. This was a 5-star for me. If you watched my other review, you saw that, my non-spoiler review, you saw that I read it in 2 days. There's no way I can rate a book that I read that's this thick. I read it in 2 days and was as emotional and texty about it as I was without giving it a 5 stars. So I'm so glad it finally came out. I really want to know what you guys think. Leave me a comment below, DM me on Instagram, whatever. Can't wait until March or April. I've seen conflicting reports, but March or April for the next one. Thanks so much for joining me and talking about Crush. If you want to see more of my reviews, click the like and subscribe button down below. If you want to chat on Instagram, find me at The Fun Size Reader, on Facebook at The Fun Size Reader, and on Twitter at Fun Size Reader. See you guys next time.